Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Making a Difference in Mental Health. I'm Danielle.
I'm Wendy.
Today is part 2 of the impact of social media on mental health conversation. Last time we looked at part 1 and we talked about just the information on social media, the positive things, the challenging things. We shared a video of one of the presentations we had here at Advanced Behavioral Health, and today we wanted to come back with part 2. Yep, part 2. So I think what we're going to do, we do have some digital notes today, so you all will see us looking down. It's okay. It's
From
a little
time
bit more,
to time.
yeah, from time to time. We're a little bit more relaxed today. I think
It's Friday. It's been a week.
It's been a long day, but we still wanted to come back and give you all the part 2 of the impact of social media on youth and adolescents. All right, everyone, welcome to our Listen Up series, our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging series. This is the impact of social media on mental health. Specifically, we're going to be looking at adolescents and young adults. So that brings us to the unanswered questions, because social media is still fairly new in, we have over 200 communication apps. And so that's a lot to try to track and gather. But here are the unanswered questions. There's a broad concern within the scientific community about evidence-based results. There's a lack of transparency when it comes to these data companies. And also there's just a challenge with understanding the barrier and the full scope of the impact of social media on mental health, because it's almost like there's more being produced every day than we can catch up with to collect the data. But we're also seeing faster and faster the impacts on mental health, including the increases of maybe depression, anxiety, or challenges with images of self and self-esteem. So there are some unknowns, okay? Research says that there is still not enough data to gather information on, is in-person better than digital social interaction when it comes to social media? Like, we connect on social media, but we meet in person, or we just do all social media interaction virtually? So social connectedness, social isolation, mental health symptoms, that's an unknown. We still don't know that yet. We also don't really know individual, community, and societal factors of protecting youth from negative effects, because it's almost like the production of social media apps, while it's fun and while there are positives, the production is almost faster than the research, and being able to submit results that are adequate and evidence-based. Healthy versus harmful. Is it a good pathway or not? Does it give you a sense of satisfaction? Like we heard the young lady say, well, I use TikTok to scroll to put myself to sleep. Or I use TikTok to scroll so that I don't have to think about all of the things that are happening. Is that satisfaction, or does that impair person-to-person interaction? I know that I'm old enough that our social media might have been the mom, or our instant message might have been mom writing something on an envelope, putting it on the refrigerator and saying, look, this is a direct message to you and your brother and your sister, have this kitchen clean, by the time I get home. Or we went outside to play. It was punishment if we couldn't go outside. I don't know, I might be dating myself again, but it was punishment. I see some laughter. Okay, so people feel me, people understand. But now it's punishment to have your devices taken away. So we don't know, is it healthy? Is it harmful? Also, this last caveat here, this research does not include any AI studies. So what can be done? What can be done? What can be done? So what policymakers can do, strengthen the protection and ensure greater safety for children when it comes to social media platforms. The tech companies can also pretty much just design a platform that fosters safe and healthy environments for the youth, virtual environments for youth. Okay, so what can parents, caregivers, and the youth do? Parents can create, I love this, create a family media plan. Love that. Tech-free zones at home to encourage interpersonal interactions. Parents can model responsible social media behavior. Teach your kids to be responsible and not be cyberbullies. What can the youth do? They can be cautious about what they share. They can protect themselves from harassment. We've already talked about DMs, direct text messaging, posts, games, social media apps. Just be careful and protect yourself from those things. Let's see, speak about online harassment and abuse, speak out about it. I know that's really hard because there's this idea about being a snitch, but sometimes speaking up can be the difference between safety and harm. And then refrain from practicing harassment and spreading rumors and abuse. Let's kind of just jump into where we left off with some of the unknowns about social media, the research that we presented last week with the positives and the challenges. There are some unknowns. I'm not going to go through everything because we've already seen it in the videos, but there are two things that stand out to me. The first thing is, what is the impact now on social media? Is it a good thing or maybe not so good? Is in person versus the, connection, digital connection? What is the impact? I mean, during COVID, it was good.
Right.
We were able to connect.
Necessary.
It was necessary
during COVID. I think now, I think people lost their way. Something happened with just basic social skills with our youth and teenagers, and people. It's weird. It's like I only feel comfortable if I can text you or communicate to you through my phone. To have a conversation in person is difficult. I don't want you to look at me. You're going to judge me. Remember, we had kids who were coming back from COVID, going to school. Masks were gone, and they were still wearing masks. And it wasn't because they were afraid of the virus. They were concerned that someone's looking at me.
So, I remember that. We talked about that maybe in season 3 or maybe even in season 2, where the kids were kind of using the mask as kind of like a security blanket or kind of a way of protection, not from COVID or from sickness, but it was almost like it was anxiety provoking to not have the mask
because it was some kind of cover protection. I think also, I know I listened to my parents and people who were educators, and it was concerning that these kids aren't spelling. They're like have these short acronyms and things to communicate, and so when it comes down to like really writing a sentence out, they're completely lost. So I think that's pretty much a concern too that we see with that. And then here, Danielle, we are real time. It's TikTok.
Right.
We're seeing how that is playing out in the media, in the news, in the Congress about TikTok and how that's used with youth, and what's the impact going to be? Like, are young people going to be able to manage if TikTok goes away? So.
And one of the things that we discussed in the presentation was that this data and information, even though it's from 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General, this data does not include more information when it comes to AI, when it comes to information that can be collected from these social media platforms. You got something going on.
I have to apologize.
But it's okay.
I don't know
it's
what's
okay.
happening.
We said we were going to be relaxed on this show,
So
and we are.
I
We're definitely.
fixed it. Someone's trying to get me. I don't know why.
It's okay. Now it said cha-ching, so maybe you're making some money. I don't know.
I wish.
I don't know.
I think I had to sound like that for a reason, just to keep me, keep me happy, keep my spirits up.
But that's
anyway.
okay. Again, that's part of even this digital world that we're in. We get notifications just like that. But what we were saying was that even with TikTok, the impact of there are positive impacts, but then, like you said,
like AI is an unknown.
AI is definitely an unknown. And the communication and the socialization, it's easier to socialize through an app than it is in person, losing the people skills, talking skills, personal interaction skills.
You just got to know how to type.
and literacy is so important to all of us. And Wendy is definitely a champion of, learning how to read.
Our kids don't know how to read.
Yeah.
This didn't make it any better.
So go back again if you want to watch the video, just kind of see the different unknowns when it comes to the impact of social media on mental health. And then I guess lastly, we don't know now in this social media era the impact of the developmental stages. So of course we have Freud and we have Piaget, we have Erikson, but how does social media factor now into developmental stages?
Right, because these were, theories back from like the 50s and earlier. And so, we're in the 21st century. Things have really changed for our youth and our teens. And so you're right, like how does this now factor in the stages of development, and does it kind of bring people back down in the stages that, especially the ones that Erikson created.
Right. So, and I tend to, whenever I talk with clients or whenever I'm processing psychoeducation with parents, I defer to Erikson for the developmental stages.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great psychoed tool to help parents remember when you were 13, remember when you were 10. And it's a good guide. And that's kind of how I look at it now. It's a guide because things have changed so much in our world. But I feel like, kids are struggling and the stages are changing.
And I wonder who's going to be that new trailblazing theorist or psychologist, clinician to either add on to Erikson when it comes to adding in the impact of social media. Like when is that going to happen? And maybe it needs to be a 20-year thing or 40-year thing in order to really be able to capture.
It could be Danielle and Wendy.
I mean, it could be.
We see it every day, right?
Continue to watch the podcast, and we'll continue to bring you information. So,
but like who, I'm not being facetious. It could be us. It could be any clinicians that in this day and age are dealing with kids on the front line, and we're seeing something that is really difficult to watch in terms of the socialization and lack of being able to read and communicate. But everybody knows how to fight. Like, that's your primal go-to. And so it is concerning. It's really, really concerning.
So speaking of your concerns then, I do have, and I'm going to read a couple of the things that we can do, and we'll talk about what clinicians can do, but we touched on in the video that you saw from our presentation, we touched on what policymakers can do, tech companies can do, and what researchers can do. So I'll just kind of pick one of the many that we already saw. When it comes to policymakers, greater safety for children interacting with social media platforms. The policies that, and that's another thing too. Like you said, we're dealing right now in March of 2024 with TikTok, and it has become political, and
it's on the chopping block.
And so policymakers right now, I think either the House has already voted or the Senate has already voted, and the House has already voted. So, when it comes to social media, of course, we're using TikTok just as an example. Policymakers, the suggestion is make stronger policies when it comes to the safety of children, and when it comes to just being able to support and implement and develop certain things that will positively impact individuals, a youth's growth, that doesn't particularly mess with their developmental growth.
Right. But these kids are savvy. I always say, parents, access the parental controls. Pay attention to what sites your children are on. Be more proactive in that regard. And some parents are not. But these kids are so savvy, tech savvy. They know how to set up fake accounts, and you think you're looking at the right thing, but then they're somewhere else in the back door, going into the dark web, and all sorts of things. So I see where, as a parent, stronger policies might be a remedy, maybe.
And when you talk about the privacy codes or the parental codes, that is also something that goes right into what can tech companies do.
Right.
So, the video that we saw, I believe it was from Good Morning America, where, there are parental controls, but the kids know how to come back behind and kind of change things and bypass. So,
and they're more savvy than the parents.
The other thing that was really important too, though, that I find would help the mental health industry is for the tech companies to really give us data on anything that is harmful, or if now we can actually people can actually sue for some type of harmful, whether it's cyberbullying, cyber hate, these revenge type postings, for the tech companies to actually report how many of those they received within like in their annual report, so that we can see where do the statistics lie when it comes to
hate speech, really.
And when it comes
Online.
to just which would fall in the category of impacts in mental health, or
So I think there is a burden on these tech companies to do a little better. Our kids are really not doing that well.
And
because of it, because of social media. And as we did talk last time we were together, we did talk about the positives. And there are positives, but it only takes one to a few to turn it into something negative. And unfortunately, we've gone down that rabbit hole. Kids are using social media more to bully and to degrade and talk bad about each other and get on inappropriate sites and get trapped and all of that, as opposed to what are the times where you just go outside and play. Where are those days?
Come from a generation where, and I may have said this before, where it was a punishment to stay inside.
I was in that.
You wanted to go outside and play.
Especially it was nice outside and you got the green light to just go. And you were just outside getting fresh air, getting exercise, playing with your friends, communicating, talking to one another in person. And I just feel like we've lost that.
It's in reverse now. You must go outside. Give me your devices. And I have seen it with my own eyes. Some clients that I've worked with, or I've been able to process with a parent, the meltdowns that these kids have.
Like in crisis.
When their items, their smart devices are removed, and you have to go outside and play, and you palate about going outside to play. And I just think it's something that, again, as we continue on with what can we do, that's something that the tech companies can do. And then with researchers can come up with and develop certain definitions, and also give us and evaluate the best practices for healthy social media use.
Strategies that all of us can use as parents, our youth, our teenagers, that afford them a more well-rounded experience that's not so, it almost feels like an obsession. If I can't have my device, I don't know how I'm going to live.
And I truly believe this, that at some point, if it's not the DSM-5, like we got back here, DSM-6, or whenever that comes out, even if it's, 15, 20 years from now, I do honestly believe that in the addictions section, it's going to be some type of either social media or tech, like smart device addiction of some kind. Just like video game rage. I mean, we saw a lot of that too during COVID. So I do believe that there will be, kind of a redevelopment in the area of, again, we're moving into a new era where social media has its impact. Just like we said, what's the developmental impact on the stages of development? Also, what's the impact on your mental health and on obsessions?
So, creating a new disorder, which is very unfortunate. But we're headed that way. So
it's just good to know, and again, we can always change something that is a challenge into a positive, but that's the reason. What can tech companies do? Policymakers, researchers, what can we do?
Legislators, absolutely everybody. And finally, what can we do as mental health clinicians? Dealing with this tech issue. And for me, we stress a lot on this podcast about how much we do psychoeducation with our clients. And I think it just starts there. Let's really educate our youth and our teenagers about social media and kind of what it's doing in terms of stifling, almost, I think, brain development and cognitive development to a point. Yes, savvy on the tech side because
Yeah.
I know how to get around it
Right.
and everybody talks, but then the social piece of it all is what's lacking, and that's concerning.
Yeah, I mean, we can support parents with ideas. I mean, in the video we talked about what parents can do. We can support ideas for parents to kind of reintegrate either family time or some downtime, some not just an hour pause from screen time, but finding new things that allow for engagement, family engagement, increasing social skills, doing things together. I remember also, not only did we go outside, but we had to be inside to eat dinner together.
Yes.
We ate dinner at the table together.
And that
hopefully
changed.
I'm not,
that has changed.
I know,
Yeah.
like, hopefully I'm not dating myself. And even if I am, it is a memory from a time where there was no social media. The social part of our day was having conversations with our family and hanging out with our friends and riding our bikes and
being
being
outside.
active.
Yes,
'Cause that's another thing too. Social media sometimes
delays
causes
delays exercising or
right.
physical activity because all you're doing is sitting around on your device
and
You
going to
don't
bed.
need to and going to bed.
Sleep.
So,
I still haven't
there
mastered
we go, we're back to sleep.
I
You always
haven't
bring us
mastered
back
the
to
sleep thing yet.
Yeah.
But that's something that we can definitely support. And for children, what we can do with supporting as clinicians, what can we do as therapists, as counselors, as therapeutic mentors, as psychologists, practitioners. I think that we can also assist our youth with developing a plan or allowing them to be proactive in their development, their social development outside of a smart device.
Exactly. It's almost like when we talked about, going back to sleep hygiene, it's almost, you have to have a plan for sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
So this makes perfect sense to me. Like, you're going to have a plan of action to part ways a little bit with your devices so that, other parts of your life can be fulfilled.
Right. It is not a marathon, or no, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And sometimes I'll tell the parents that I work with, I'm not a magician.
It's going to take some time.
It's not going to be a snap of a finger, but it is going to take some time, some dedication
to undo it. Right.
And commitment from both sides, not only from families and the youth, but clinicians as well. And I think we are committed.
Yeah, we'll do our part. We always do our part.
Yeah. So this was really good. Just to wrap up part 1 and part 2, this was such a cool topic to talk about. Great information, just as impactful. Wendy, do you have anything before we close out?
No, I'm just happy we continually bring this topic back in our seasons because it's such, it takes up such a huge amount of space in our society. And as we grow as a technological society, these issues are going to continue. And, we might be back here talking about AI because that's here.
I have some things to say about AI, but that is for another day and another show. We thank you all for watching. We're asking you to always come back. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm Danielle.
I'm Wendy.
This is Making a Difference in Mental Health, where we're always striving to make a difference in mental health. We'll see you next time.
Take care.